waste your time chasing perfect. You should know that you're worth it just as you are. Don't you know that all your colors stand out from all the others like a work of art? If you got joy down in your soul, if you got love, 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 sweet love, that's enough.
Hello and welcome back. Today we're going to be using colored pencils, but not just any colored pencils, pastel pencils. They're super fun for blending. I'm going to show you how to use value, how to blend. Let's get started with our pastel pencils. We're going to grab a blank piece of paper or even the back of your project work. So I'm going to use this piece. It already has a mark on it, but that'll be okay. And the first thing I'm going to draw is a rectangle shape because I want to practice what's called value first. First and foremost, we got to practice that. And we're going to put 2 lines in the top rectangle and 4 lines on the bottom rectangle. And I'm just going to write out the word value. Now, value when it comes to art means the light, and my sketchbook is kind of hanging off the camera here, but it says light and dark of a color. So I'm going to show you some techniques of going light and dark. Okay, so the top value scale has 3 and this one has 5. 3 is definitely the one we're going to start with though, because it is easier. And the word I just said was scale. So we're going to do 2 different scales, the basic light, medium, and dark, and then the 5 one, which still has light, medium, and dark, but then it's got 2 extra ones, and we'll talk about that one in a second. So you're going to grab your colored pencils for practice, and in our case, we're going to be using pastel pencils. They're both really, really good for using value. You will need a sharpener. The cool thing with pastel pencils, they have an eraser and they blend very, very easily. You can see it just came off on my finger. I'm going to start with the black. And when I go light, notice how I'm holding the pencil. I'm just barely holding it at the end. That is a little trick because putting light value on can be very tricky. And then the cool thing too with pastels, you can blend it with your finger. So I like to start with light and then go straight into dark. Notice when I am coloring, I'm going in the same direction. I'm taking my time, making sure every area of that space is colored. This can definitely increase your coloring skills as well. Going a little fast here. The faster you go, you notice there's more light areas, so you definitely have to go back over that. And you'll see the clear difference now between light and dark. You should barely see the light. Dark is extremely dark. So now we need to make that medium value somewhere in the middle. Now when I color medium, I hold it just like I do when I'm writing. I hold my pencil the same way. And I kind of go in a circular motion. And you definitely want to be able to see clearly all 3 are different. You don't want your medium to be too dark. You don't want your medium to be too light. And I think we created it there. So now we're going to do that same thing. I like to start when I do the 5 value scale. I like to start with light. And again, feel free to do that trick. It's great for beginners to hold your pencil at the very end. And think of it like touching a feather with your paper. You just barely want to push down. But with dark, you want to definitely push down. Get as much color on that space as you can. So there's our light, dark, and now medium. Again, it's got to be clearly different than both of them, somewhere in between. Go in a circular motion when coloring. Now, I just want to look at light and medium, and I want to do the same thing. I want to make a color that is clearly different than light and medium. It's somewhere in the middle. So I like to start light and build. You can always add more layers, but it is harder to go lighter once you've gone too dark. Feel free to blend with your finger, and there you go. We have something clearly different. Now we're gonna be looking at medium and dark, and we gotta create a value somewhere in the middle of those two. So again, start kind of more at a medium, and then you can add layers. That way you don't accidentally go too dark, okay? And there you go. Got clearly 5 different values. So that is a more advanced value scale. The 3 is totally fine. Now we're going to draw some 3D, of course this one's just a 2D, but now we're gonna make it 3D forms, okay? So that way we're seeing multiple sides of an object. So here we're taking a square, making it a cube. We're also gonna be adding in a little shadow. And when I draw my shadows, I like to make it something like the shape that it is. And you notice that mark that was on my paper. We gotta turn mistakes into masterpieces sometimes. I'm gonna go ahead and use that and create a 2D circle into, here in a second, a 3D looking circle, which is called what, friends? Do we know what a 3D circle is? It is called a sphere. And I also created the shadow on the sphere, and I chose blue and green. So here we're gonna do the same thing off to the side just to practice, going dark to medium to light. We're kind of doing the opposite, just to see what those colors look like. So there's blue value scale just on the side without the rectangles, just kind of doing a quick little scratch of value for both those colors to give us an idea of what they look like. Yep, create them to where you see 3 clear different colors at least. And then above them, I want to show you how to mix. So first I'm going to put down some blue on my paper. Just scratch a little blue. We're going to do the same thing, but now we're going to put our green over to the side, and then we're going to actually overlap with some blue. And guess what? We created a blue-green. And you can do this with any 2 colors next to each other on the color wheel. We have a ton of color wheels in the classroom for you to look at. You might have to Google one if you don't have a color wheel at home and you're watching this. But that is called a tertiary color, when you can take a color next to each other on the color wheel, for example, red and orange, and create a red-orange just by mixing. Colored pencils and pastel colored pencils are amazing for blending. We love it. We love to see it. And again, that is called blending. Now, we're just going to use 1 color on each of these, but could you use a blended color on these? Of course. And I'm just gonna show you how we're gonna put down value. Each side is going to be a different value, okay? And then the bottom, of course, is gonna be a shadow. So same thing with the sphere. We're gonna go light, medium, dark. And then it will look more 3-dimensional on our paper, which is really nice. So here I'm gonna make the top light, and you do not have to actually label these, but for this video's sake, I wanted to show you exactly what we're doing. But when you don't label them, it turns out a lot nicer. And here I'm going medium. You could also go dark on this side, because it's probably getting the least amount of light if our light source is on top. But either way would work. So we've got light, we've got medium, and now the other side has to be dark. So it's gotta be different than our medium is important. Feel free to use your finger to blend on medium if you need to. And already it's popping more off the page. Now when I do my shadow, I start dark, closest to the object, and then I start going lighter and lighter as I go away from the object. And then this is great also for blending with your finger. So there we go, just like we did on our paper, the shadow is the same way. And now let's turn this circle into a sphere using blue. So again, we're gonna start with light. My light's a little dark, so I'll definitely have to use my eraser. Some colored pencils are starting to have erasers, but these pastel ones definitely do, which is nice. So you can definitely erase off some of that value if you need to. There, it looks a lot more like a light value. Now we're gonna add medium and then dark. Very dark value, that looks really nice. And then blend with your finger and watch the magic. Look at that. It is a sphere, it's 3D right before our eyes. And now in the shadow, we're gonna start dark and then medium and then light and blend with our finger. Hope you had fun, you guys. The creativity is endless here. Use whatever colors you would like. Have a ton of fun. Feel free to practice. But now is the time to start using value and blending in your project. Have fun.
A work of art. If you got joy down